Heyo, welcome into the CHGO White Sox postgame show presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Welcome into Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm the host of the CHGO White Sox podcast, Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. We got a full crew tonight. Vinnie Duber is in studio. We got Herb Lawrence as always.
Hello.
You can follow. Don't worry.
Oh,
you had to sneak that one in there.
Yeah, I didn't do the real normal thing.
Dog thing.
That's Vinnie Duber. He is the CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. Here's your part. And this is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's the CHGO White Sox community leader. We are here to recap the White Sox losing the opener of this series to the Los Angeles Angels 4-3. It was a close one. It was an eventful one. The White Sox didn't put up too much of a fight in the 9th inning, going down 1-2-3, but the 7th inning was pretty eventful. White Sox take the lead, and then they give up the lead. Excited to talk about Lucas Giolito's good day. The White Sox hitting woke up after a couple bad innings against Noah Syndergaard. And let's start with Lucas because he's been the big story. We went to the CHGO White Sox tailgate on June 22nd. He got lit up by the Toronto Blue Jays. He said the words terrible about his start after that game. And this one, not terrible at all. Some good results for Lucas Giolito. What'd you guys make of Lucas's start tonight?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. He didn't have overwhelming stuff, didn't have great stuff, but he went out there and battled, and he made a couple of those all-stars out there in Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani look silly. I think it was in the 5th inning where he's just throwing his changeup to Mike Trout, and he's swinging really early out of his shoes, and the slider buried inside to Shohei Ohtani looked awesome. That was good of Tony to get him out after 6 innings, 90 pitches he's thrown, with a good feeling under his belt. Say, all right, I only gave up 2 earned runs. I'm feeling back to Lucas Giolito, like baby steps. You have a full month of bad starts. Then you get back to doing this versus a lineup that is not top-notch, but formidable. Got those 2 guys in the middle of the lineup and also the top with Walsh. But I say Lucas Giolito, not back, but it's good to see this Lucas Giolito as opposed to the guy that was just getting rocked every time.
Yeah, we kind of saw how, I don't know, it just felt, Herb and I kind of described it as he felt a little just shell-shocked or a little just rocked after Wednesday.
He certainly looked that way.
Yeah, how would you describe what he felt like on Wednesday?
Yeah, he looked like he felt awful. I mean, he was kind of mystified that this keeps happening or that it had kept happening. And, you know, this is a guy who is being used to the last few years being at the pinnacle of the sport, being one of the best pitchers in the American League, and very much not that the last month or so. And for him to kind of go out every time and try to figure it out and not figure it out, it seemed to bother him, and you could obviously relate to why that would. So today, a very nice step forward. Looked a little rocky early again. You kind of had a little feeling of maybe, oh no, here we go again, this first couple innings, but man, did he settle in, and once he did, it's like almost like, oh, the light bulb went on. Maybe he did figure something out there in the 4th inning or the 5th inning, and we saw a guy that looked familiar, a guy who looked like the White Sox ace there for a little bit of this start. Now he's going to have to go out and put it together throughout the whole thing. You know, the defense is a little better tonight, particularly on that one play in right field, and maybe it was a scoreless outing for Lucas Giolito tonight. And so certainly he's got a lot that he can build off of going forward, but he'll be the first guy to tell you that, you know, it's all about the next one too.
Yeah, 6 innings tonight for Lucas Giolito, 6 hits allowed, only 1 walk. He also struck out 6 and giving up the 2 earned runs in the 2nd inning. That was an interesting play. I didn't get to see it because I was in the car. We went to the CHGO White Sox softball game today, Herb and I, and Herb made one fantastic play out in right field, and Gavin Sheets tried to make a play out in right field. I know. Well, what's up?
I was able to see it. I was watching.
It was interesting. I mean, he got a glove on it. He was going out to right field if you missed the play, ranging back, and it hit off of his glove and then kind of rolled along the wall. It looked like it hit a White Sox fan, but then it just rolled along the wall and ended up being called a triple and not a home run. But it's a difficult play there for Gavin. I mean, it's not it's not routine for any right fielder, and especially a first baseman out there in right field. It's difficult.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if there's somebody out there with a little bit more experience or somebody out there who moves a little bit quicker, maybe it looks a whole lot different. It didn't look good. He got a glove on it. That's a positive, but he didn't catch it, and that's a negative. And, listen, they figured out the correct call. Replay, doing its job on that one. It was not a home run. Certainly it looked like it bounced off the chest of that White Sox fan who was sitting in the front row, but they looked at it, and they found out correctly that it rolled along the top of the wall. Pretty sure we've seen another play like that in a White Sox game this year. I don't remember if
the Dodgers.
It was at Guaranteed Rate Field, right?
Yes.
And a ball that bounced up off the track and then rolled along the top of the wall.
I think Mookie hit
Betts.
it.
Yeah. And again, didn't ever go over the wall, and kind of a similar thing with this play. But listen, was that the play of the game? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I don't think you can really harp on it too much. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, your starting pitcher went out through 6 innings, gave up only 2 runs. And when you got to listen, I don't know how many times we have to say this year, but when you got a lineup like the White Sox have, you should be winning. You should be winning that game. I mean, they only scored 3 runs. That's the thing that killed them today.
Well, and you were kind of caught off guard when Steve Stone ended the game, being like, "Oh, and that was a big mistake there in the 7th inning with Sebi Zavala at second base." We'll talk about it a little bit. And I see Wayne mentioning we're in dire need of left-handed batter. Doesn't Han know this? Hey, Gavin Sheets 7 of 16 since he's been called up to since Charlotte. But we do got to get to the super chat from our guy Mohammed. He says, "Hi guys, I was at the game. Great turnout for White Sox fans. Sad about the missed chances, but it was fun to see the Sox in person. Hopefully next season will be better. Fingers crossed, and this season can still get better as well." I know that not a lot of people are here for positivity, especially with your White Sox being at 34 and 38 and losing again to another sub 500 team. You have a rough series, losing 3 of 4 against the Orioles, and then Herb, you go out to LA, and this is a team that you've seen before, a team that after you saw them went on a 14-game losing streak and fired their manager and just fought the Seattle Mariners.
Literally fought them. Yes.
Fought them. A lot of the guys that you saw pitch for them are also about to be suspended for like 10 games. But Herb, I don't know how you can sum this up or want to sum this up, but the White Sox lose again for another sub 500 team, and you already got fans saying, "Oh, we'll get them next season."
I mean, it's up to Muhammad to feel that way. And maybe this is the only White Sox game he's going to go to this year. So, your prerogative. But, yeah, this game, and I know when the more focus is going to be, hey, Raylo gave up the lead when we're in the 7th inning. Leadoff walk doesn't help you out in any way. But they got 3 runs on 6 hits versus Noah Syndergaard. This is not New York Mets, Noah Syndergaard. This guy is middling. He's fine. Under 4 ERA to start the game, but you saw those pitches out there. He's not that guy who's throwing up 100. He's not that guy who's throwing a wicked slider, and the changeup is still high velocity, but it's not anything that you're like, okay, 6 hits is a good effort versus Noah Syndergaard. No, they had him on the ropes all day long after they started actually seeing some pitches, and then Timmy started off with his walk and then started stealing a couple bases, got Noah off of his track, because I think the first 2 innings, the White Sox saw 15 total pitches. That's unacceptable for any pitcher.
First 3 innings, 27 pitches.
27 pitches. That's just unacceptable. When we were commenting, like it was in the 6th inning, I was like, he's had like 50-something pitches. What the hell's going on, White Sox? See a couple pitches. You haven't seen this guy. I don't know if White Sox people have saw him at all, mostly. If you've been a White Sox for your career, probably Josh Harrison seen him when he was a Met. But remember, Syndergaard got scratched earlier in the year because he was sick with non-COVID illness. But
my guy Adam Hazley has the most at-bats against him in the White Sox uniform.
He didn't play.
Because he's Philly's legend.
He's your guy?
Oh, always.
Yeah.
So
you don't like Jose Abreu, but your guy is Adam Hazley.
Adam Hazley,
right.
my guy.
Sign up for that. But we're back to not hitting again versus mediocre pitchers. This cannot sustain. And they don't even say their pitcher for tomorrow. And I guarantee we've probably never heard of him, even if it's Mike Lorenzen, who last time he faced him, remember, that was the comeback in the 9th inning where they got 5 runs off of him and Raisel Iglesias. We need to hit. When you get Lucas Giolito right, you need to win that game. You only give up 2 runs. You need to win that game. 6 hits is unacceptable. This is on the offense.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, too, I mean, that 4th inning was kind of when things started cracking for Thor. Tim gets on base. He stole second easily. He stole third easily. Almost tried to steal home as well. But you go and see Andrew Vaughn get a slider on 0-2, literally in the middle of the zone, high, and it was a kind of a cement mixer.
Wasn't great.
And swung and missed at that one. He goes down, and then you got upset at Robert swinging on TA stealing third. He almost ruined a great jump by TA there, and then Abreu, bad luck. I think he hit it like 100 miles per hour and lined out. But the White Sox still in the fifth inning ended up getting to Thor. It's the offense, but I don't know if we can harp on the offense is the problem. The offense is the problem too much, because I think last 14 games they're still averaging around 7 runs. You had the shutout on Friday.
Okay, but they just played the last place Baltimore Orioles and scored 8 runs in 4 days.
Yeah,
and then they go out to Anaheim and score 3 runs today. I mean, you got to score some runs. This is a team that's supposed to be hitting home runs and putting up big crooked numbers, making opposing pitchers, tremble in their cleats. It hasn't happened.
Yeah,
it hasn't happened this year. And listen, injuries have a lot to do with that, no doubt about it. But this is a team with guys that can beat the Angels. This is a team with guys who can certainly beat the Orioles.
Oh, yeah.
And they really haven't been able to do it the last 5 days.
Like, you get this line right here versus when we saw Kevin Gausman. You get 3 runs off Kevin Gausman, you're like, there you go to offense. That's a tough pitcher. I accept your 3 runs right there. No, you can't. Not at all. I'm just mad that to get 6 hits off the whole Angels pitching staff, no.
Well, and also Tepera comes in, and your former pitcher, and just absolutely shuts you down. Iglesias was nails as well. And I think, Vinny, a point that you mentioned too, the lack of home runs and powers. White Sox 25th this year in home runs. They have 59 this year, so they're not even at 60. I think it's so frustrating, and like the Cubs have 71 this year. The Cubs that we see Cody Delmendo having mental breakdowns after they lose. The Cubs are hitting more home runs than the White Sox.
And quick, name some Cubs. I don't think you can name too many.
Seiya Suzuki, but I don't think he's played.
He hasn't
months.
played in ever, Jerry.
Pat Wisdom, who's a former Cardinals legend,
and that Schwindel.
Oh, and Wilson.
Make that thing, that Pat Wisdom, whatever.
Schwinn City, Schwindy City. But Wilson Contreras is pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
He'll be gone soon.
These are a lot. We're naming a lot of 2017 White Sox right now is what we're doing.
But hey, if 2017 White Sox Jose Abreu leads the team in home runs, and he doesn't even have 10 yet. So, I mean, that's the true problem here. I mean, it's not only, hits, but it's also where's the power on this team? And I understand you allude to the injuries. It's true.
Yeah, you're missing Eloy, and certainly Yohan Moncada's missed a lot of time. You expect him to do something. Grandal's on the IL right now.
He had 23 last year.
Okay, but like you just said, Jose Abreu's played all year. Luis Roberts played most of the year. Tim Anderson's played most of the year. And Grandal's been in there, when he hasn't been hurt and hasn't done anything. Mm-hmm. Even Andrew Vaughn, who has been terrific for them, doesn't deserve really any of the blame for what has happened offensively. He's a guy that's expected to hit a lot of to show some power. Gavin Sheets had to be sent down to the minor leagues. He was a guy that showed some power last year. Yeah, the power's not there. Homers aren't there, and that's been a gigantic problem. You can't win in 2022.
Well, and
doing that.
Right. And I mean, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, or maybe a couple shows ago, like the people keep bringing up 2005 and how they used to play Aussie ball and small ball. They were 5th in the major leagues. They were one of 5 teams that had 200-plus home runs that year.
It's also 17 years ago.
Yeah. But, I mean, still, it's always been true that once you hit home runs, you're going to win more games. I mean, that's always been the thing. And it's frustrating not seeing this from the White Sox. We saw it so much in 2020. I mean, it was literally, top 3 team in home runs this year or that year, and it's just shocking to see them fall from grace because
it's all the same guys.
Yeah, it's all the same guys, and the injuries are present. But I don't know. I mean, it's at this point, it's an excuse, right? To say the injuries are what's holding them at 25th in the major leagues.
I mean, if you're talking about that specific number. I mean, with some of the guys that have missed those times, those are guys who are supposed to contribute to that number a lot. But I think it's on a daily basis. You know what I mean? When they play last week and they go almost a week without hitting a home run,
right, yeah.
I mean that is the thing that jumps out at you. Not, oh my God, where do they rank in the major leagues, and is it because they're missing Eloy or isn't it? But it doesn't matter if Eloy's not there. You still got a bunch of guys in this lineup that can go deep, and they're not doing it.
Right. And home runs are a sign of hard hit balls. So you're not getting balls squared up versus these pitchers who we see all the time. We did the show the other day. Those Orioles pitchers are not good. They were leaving balls hanging in the zone all day long, and the White Sox were not punishing them except for the Gavin Sheets home run, which you saw yesterday. They gave the White Sox a 2-0 lead. Today, a couple more hanging curveballs or fastballs up in the zone were 95, elevated and hittable. They didn't do anything versus him except for driving into his gaps. Good, awesome. Need to hit some over the fence because you see other teams doing against the White Sox all the time. And this West Coast trip will not be conducive for hitting home runs, especially with the marine layer out there in June for LA and for San Francisco.
Hell yeah.
But you need to hit home runs more often.
Meteorologist Herb Lawrence.
I spent 1 year in San Diego. So.
Can you explain the marine layer effect on baseballs?
I don't know exactly, but in the morning, they call it May gray or June gloom in Southern California. It's dusty and gray the whole day in the morning, and then it burns off by the afternoon, and then that stays in the air, so the ball is like heavier, the air is like heavier, so it doesn't travel as much.
Hard to cut through.
Yeah, it's harder to get through. But today, it was unusually humid, so that should have been conducive to more home runs today, but it didn't happen.
You had two back-to-back swings in the inning where they ended up scoring. You had Luis Robert, who looked like he drilled a ball to left center. Fantastic catch there, but again, I off the bat it looked like that was going to go a lot further.
Yes,
and Jose Abreu followed him up with a ball that did go all the way to the warning track. But again, he also looked like he tattooed. Those pitches looked like they were hung. I mean, those are balls that back in 2020 you would expect it to go a long way over the fence.
In the ninth inning, you get the Jose Abreu crack to center field in a different ballpark, in a different area of that ballpark. Yeah, that's a home run, but it's the wrong stadium at the wrong time and definitely in the wrong location in that stadium.
But how many times this year have we said that about Jose Abreu?
All the time.
You can say wrong stadium at the wrong time of night. It seems like it's been the wrong year for Jose Abreu. You brought him up, as the guy who led the team in home runs so many years in a row. It seems like he should have at least twice as many as he has now, if not 3 times as many as he has now. But why doesn't he? You know what I mean? It's just
right.
He's hitting the ball to the track. He's hitting the ball to the wall. And it looks like he's getting a hold of them. Is just not going as far as they used to.
And I'm not sure. I mean, it's like the park hasn't really been a problem because he goes out to Comerica and hits one dead center that's like 420 feet deep. It's like I don't know where Jose's at. And you mentioned too that 6th inning, Robert hard hit line out 96 miles per hour. Vaughn hit a double that was 109.5, and then Abreu follows it up with a 111 mile per hour double. So the exit velocity is still there. And I just want to bring this data from StatCast because the White Sox average home run is still top 10. So when they hit home runs, they go far. And hard hits, they're still top 10. Hard hits, they're not top 10. So no, they are. My bad. I sorted it the wrong way. They're still top 10. They're 7th in major leagues in hard hit, balls hit 95 miles per hour or more. But barrels are the most important thing because that's including hard hit and the launch angle. The White Sox, 12th in major league, and that was a stat, especially early on in April and May when they are having 17 hard hits versus Tristan McKenzie in that part of that 9-game losing game streak. They're still around with the Yankees in barrels per plate appearances. So they have fallen off since April and May in getting those barrels, those important stats to make sure that home runs are happening more and more often, or you're getting those solid quality contacts that create home runs. The White Sox have just been getting worse quality contact, since May.
And I see somebody in the comments talking about, they got the dead balls out there, but it's not affecting the Yankees. 30-plus home runs out there for Judge, 20 home runs now for Anthony Rizzo. I know short porch and right, conducive to home runs out there in Yankee Stadium, but he's hitting balls hard everywhere. And the White Sox have a ballpark where you can hit the ball out of the ballpark in right field too. So they have the opportunity to get the job done, but they have not this year. That's disappointing. And the injuries are a factor. Yoan Moncada not being Yoan Moncada is a huge factor. Same thing with Grandal. If we can get Grandal that came back last year in 2021 and just lit the ball and crushed it every time he got up to the plate, that would be awesome. I don't know when he's coming back. Hopefully he comes back 100% healthy and becomes that player that he was last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do see Jared's comment here saying, Abreu's been great. How dare you? As the guy who hates Jose Abreu on this podcast, apparently, he is in the 99th percentile in hard hits.
Yeah.
So he
has been great.
He's smoking the ball.
Yeah, we're not saying he's not great. He's not hitting home runs.
Well, and that's the thing, too. I think this is why people then go to the hitting coach and Frank Minichino. And I know people will misuse the quote about Andrew Vaughn not hitting home runs in his rookie year in the first 20 games, saying, fuck it, let's hit 300. Fuck the home run, let's hit 300. And people probably taking that as, oh, that's probably what he's telling every hitter. But at this point, we've seen now, I think in the past 3 years, the White Sox, when it comes to launch angle, have been in the bottom 5. So it's just, maybe it's the type of makeup of their hitters. But I just wonder, when you're 34 and 38 and you have back-to-back years when you make the postseason, Herb and I have talked about this, like, when will A-head roll? Like, is it time for that to happen, or is that conversation pointless?
Well, I'll say this about that quote and this in conversation about homers in general. Home runs are a result. Every player, every coach will tell you, if you're trying to hit home runs, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
And so the White Sox not hitting home runs is not a sign that they're doing something wrong from a home run perspective. It is a sign that they're doing something wrong overall, or not even that they're doing something wrong, but that they are failing to do what they're trying to do. They're not hitting the ball in ways enough that are leading to home runs. Now, we can talk about Jose Abreu. That seems like it's bad luck, because he's hitting the ball very hard. He's doing what he is supposed to be doing. A lot of the White Sox, particularly guys who are currently on the injured list, we have harped on Moncada and Grandal all year long. They're not hitting home runs because they're not hitting, period. And, we can talk about the poor stretches that Luis Robert has gone through and bring up the same points. And we can talk about the poor stretches that Eloy Jimenez, before he was hurt, was going through, and it can be the same thing. So, there's nothing wrong with not hitting home runs if you are getting a bunch of hits. But the White Sox have not done that on a very consistent basis this season. They haven't scored runs, which is a result of them not hitting very well. It's not that they're not doing the one thing that would lead them to win games. They're not doing anything, and that's the problem.
Right, and even too, even away from contact and stuff like that, they still have the worst walk rate in baseball. And something too, JJ mentions they've become contact hitters, and that's the big concern with me, is Noah Syndergaard. He's lost, the true Thor velocity. He's not that same pitcher, but what he's been able to do is refine himself to more of a pitcher, hit more of those spots, make sure that those balls are in the correct spots to make weak contact. And that's how you get through 3 innings in 27 pitches. That's how you have Brady Singer have a fantastic outing, Daniel Lynch have a fantastic outing. Because if you can hit your locations versus this White Sox team, you're going to have a good day. I mean, maybe you don't, but for the large part, that is what we've seen consistently with the White Sox. Is as long as you're locating on the outside or on the inside, you're probably going to be able to hurt them with then sliders low and outside away in the zone. So it is frustrating, and I think too, like, they've become contact hitters, but Thor just had 7 strikeouts in this game as well. So they need to start walking more. They need to at least try to put the ball in the air more. And I know it's more of like you said, hitting home runs is a result and not a process, but maybe the process of trying to hit more fly balls could come to fruition, but it just seems like something we've been talking about for the past couple of years and it not actually coming to true fruition for the White Sox. Want to remind you the best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you do that right now, you get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from a CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt from a CHGO locker, all for making more than a $50 first-time deposit at PointsBet. If you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we will help you out. PointsBet's your home for live in play betting, and it just got even better. If you see an edge in the game you're watching, if your favorite team is primed for a comeback, don't just watch the game, bet along with it live. There's more live betting, more live markets, and faster live cash outs with PointsBet. You can download the PointsBet app right now and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. So what are you waiting for? It's time to elevate your live betting game. Once the game starts, don't just bet, live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And our next product is Owen. And guys, been moving. Kind of talked a little bit about the process on the show. And something I did today was stupid. I didn't have breakfast this morning. And I went
real dumb.
Back down south. I had to move all these boxes. I filled up my car. I had my car seat pulled all the way up to the front, had the passenger one all the way pulled up to the front, full car, full of boxes. And I was like, man, I just put in a lot of work. And you know what I put into my body? Because there was not a lot in my fridge. I still had some Owen left around. It was only what I needed in that moment, and it was exactly what helped me through that move. It was cold, it was delicious, it was refreshing, and it's 100% plant-based protein shake that gives you nutrition that works as hard as you do. All of their products are free of artificial ingredients, allergen-friendly, no gluten or dairy, and they're easily digestible. I put in a ton of work moving today, and Owen refilled me. It was fantastic, and I first heard about it from Chicago Bears quarterback Justin Fields. I felt like I worked out like Justin Fields, so I made sure to treat my body like Justin Fields does. He follows a plant-based diet. I did today for about one snack. Owen and CHGO have partnered to give you an awesome offer. You can get 20% off your first purchase at liveowen.com. That's LIVEOYW or LIVEOWYN.com. My bad. With code CHGO20, you get 20% off your first purchase. I told you I had this issue
Sean,
last time.
Remind me never to recruit you to play Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, no. No.
Pat will be in your ass. Like, nope, sorry.
I will truly try to get a Y up there, and they'll be like, you have to buy the vowels. I really
You have to buy the Y?
The
on
Y
Wheel of
is
Fortune?
sometimes a Y. You can buy.
Y isn't always a vowel.
Yeah.
I wonder do they make that distinction on the wheel on America's Game?
They're kind of dickish
always-
about things. I watch it every day, and they're
Every day.
we love Wheel of Fortune.
You watch Wheel of
watch it
Fortune
every
every day?
I'm 43. I'm old. It's time. You get
My grandparents watch it every day in their 70s.
You eat supper at 6:30. You watch Wheel of Fortune.
And you have tapioca pudding while you
Wow.
eat dessert.
And you watch Pat and Vanna, and then everybody gets the $39,000 at the end, and they always choose the third fucking category for the final wheel. Always. Sorry, Owen's pissed right now. They're like, "What the fuck is this wheel?"
Well,
talk?
we were done.
Bullshit.
We already gave him the promo code. The
Okay.
CHGO20 to get 20%
That was
off
the end.
first order.
He read the last line and he really couldn't get through it. So
Yeah, I really couldn't discern between a W and a Y.
And these guys are talking about breakfast being not good. I know Steven's a guy like that. He doesn't like breakfast either.
I don't eat
love breakfast.
No?
I just eat it during like lunchtime.
Right. I like breakfast, but I never.
You're
eat
not waking
breakfast.
up and going out to a place and eating some delicious eggs.
I find it difficult to eat in the first 3 hours that I'm awake.
I usually just the thing that usually happens to me is like I'll do I like doing a bunch of stuff early. I'm very productive early in the morning, so I'll wake up, do stuff, and then I'll look up and it's like, I could have breakfast. It's 10. Why don't I just wait an hour and I'll have lunch?
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, lunch talk here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. You can only buy A, E, I, O, and U, by the way. So Y isn't.
Y is free.
Yeah, Y is free. You just got to make sure you don't get bankrupt on the spin. All right, let's go to Lucas Giolito because we talked about him being better, and there is some data in the pitch mix and the pitch breakdown for Lucas Giolito tonight. So let's look into the numbers. Lucas Giolito threw 41 fastballs tonight, 27 sliders, 22 changeups. The called strike plus whiff percentage today was 32%. Again, MLB average is 27. So that's great to see from Lucas Giolito. But the main thing is how hard he was hit. I don't love seeing a hit per inning, 6 hits in 6 innings for Giolito. But again, with what we've seen from him since May 31st, this is a lot better. In the starts from May 31st up to June 26th, he allowed an average exit velocity of 92.5. Today was around 90.5. So that's a good difference right there. He was allowing less hard contact, which is great for Giolito.
Whether Lucas is on or very much not on, he typically he'll give up home runs. Mm-hmm. Didn't give up any home runs today. I mean, he almost gave up one that was off of Kevin Sheets' glove, but he didn't give up any home runs today. So
Almost Canseco'd it.
Yeah, he really did. But so I mean, that's a positive sign when you're talking about about getting hard hit and stuff like that. Listen, I think so often these guys don't care about the results. They care about the execution of the pitches and all of that. But certainly those things go hand in hand sometimes. And I think for Lucas, especially with the skid that he's been on, to be able to point to a game where he did his job, I think that's a big positive for him and something that's going to lift him up and drive him forward.
And you said it earlier, Vinny. He, at points in this game, looked like old Lucas. The changeup was electric. We saw the 55% swings and misses for Lucas on the changeup. That's good. Having that back in his arsenal today and looking like the changeup of old and having people swing wildly over that changeup is a good result for him to have. And we talked about it yesterday. Sometimes it's just confidence. Sometimes, they don't hit the ball. The Angels don't, see the ball as well as the team before with the Toronto Blue Jays. And you had, at the end of 6 innings, you only give up 2 runs, and you saw that 2 runs were probably the product of fielding that could have been better, but, Gavin's not going to catch that ball probably 99 out of 100 times. So he's got to feel good after this start. Yeah, the team lost, but he can go to sleep tonight and say, you know what, I'm on the track back to where I need to be. And he has history with being poor for a certain amount of time last year. You don't have to look to that too far. The Boston start in the morning, then the sticky stuff, no more sticky stuff, garbage from Josh Harrison.
Josh Donaldson.
God damn it. He pitched well in this after that, and people were like, oh, he doesn't have his spin anymore. He had his spin was a little bit down, and if you guys need to go and check this out, Sox on 35th. Jordan Lazowski did a nice breakdown of what he did last year and what's really wrong with Lucas Giolito. He had a nice breakdown of that, so check that out. But he has been pitching well after some times where he struggles. He's a pitcher that I think, as Jose Abreu does, if he pitches poorly at one time, he understands what he did, goes back to the film and says, okay, what do I need to do to adjust to this? Do I need to take down my slider? Do I need to increase my changeup? What do I need to do with the fastball and the high changeup? Do I need to shelf that? And he gets it. It gets results after that. That's why I really don't worry about Lucas Giolito in the long run, even though this month has been very scary, especially because we're counting on him to be ace-like in his second to last year as a White Sox.
Steven, I do have a last-minute graphic request because I do think that some of the stuff that Herb is saying, it really fits into what I want to go with. You can stall as he's going to make this, though, because I know you have a point.
I need to tap dance here for while Steven
Well, if you don't have a point, I can continue with my
What I was going to point out is look at the last turn through the rotation. And the problem this year for the White Sox has been what? When the pitching has been good, they can't hit.
Sucks.
When the hitting comes around for a little bit, they can't pitch. We were talking about a stretch there where the starting pitching was not getting the job done. The starting pitching was not going out and giving the team a chance to win because they would be going out there and scoring runs, and the starting pitching would be not allowing that to cruise to an easy victory. Last turn through the rotation, so the 4 games against Baltimore and then tonight, really only one game in which things really got out of hand for the starting pitcher. That was Lance Lynn, and he took it up all the way to the end of that start before it got out of hand a bit for him. But Johnny Cueto, it was his shortest outing in a White Sox uniform, still okay. Michael Kopech had some problems, in individual runs, but didn't give up that many runs, and the White Sox should be able to outscore the Orioles. Right. And then Dylan Cease fantastic on Sunday before Lucas Giolito was really good in Anaheim on Monday night. So the starting pitching has done their job, and all of a sudden the hitting fades away.
Right, and you get a great start from Dylan Cease, and still, look at the score. It's 4-3 just like tonight. So it's just, the hitting needs to do more, and you mentioned the Orioles series. I think the most they scored in one of those games, the Orioles, was 6. And we talked about this. The White Sox heading up into this game, we're scoring about, in the past 10 or so, we're scoring about 7 runs per game. So, the offense just hasn't done their job, and that's the most frustrating part, and the lack of sync has truly hurt them. But Herb, you mentioned Jordan Lazowski's article on Sox on 35th about Lucas Giolito and some of the stuff. There is a lot that good that I'm taking away from this Giolito start, especially based off of what Jordan put together. This is from James Fegan, or at least he cites it from James Fegan down in Houston after Giolito's start. They said, we're working on his fastball, and you brought up film. We're working on his fastball. Some of the stuff we saw in film and its behavior was not the norm. It was kind of dipping below his vertical movement, and the cutting was not the same straight pitch that he had. We really want to dig into that and make sure the vertical was there. The vertical break for Giolito today was about average, so that really hadn't changed. But his horizontal, he gained about an inch on his horizontal run on his fastball, so maybe that helped. But the big thing I think that he helped, you talked about the changeup. 14 swings on that changeup, 10 whiffs. That's a 71% whiff rate. That's insane from him. And let's look at where he put the changeup today. It was a lot better. Jordan kind of showed that an issue with Lucas's changeup was location. And you could see today, it's usually, or at least on the screen right now, it's below the belt for the most part. A lot of red below the belt, down in the zone, and that's where he's going to be getting his swings and misses on that changeup. Elevated fastball, low changeups. And I know he likes to fool around with high changeups and try to get guys, but for the most part, that doesn't work for MLB pitchers. So I don't know if it's always going to work for Lucas, but definitely a lot of good signs, especially based off of the stuff that we've seen going wrong with him.
And in the Mike Trout at bat, I think in the 5th inning, it's really smart to do that versus him because he's a notorious low ball hitter, looking dead red, and he's got the count in his favor. Lucas throws an outside changeup, swings right over that, and then he throws an inside changeup, 81 miles per hour, and gets Mike to look stupid. So, yes, he is learning from his mistakes, learning from how he failed in the past and saying, okay, I don't need to be that. I don't need to continue on that. And I think it was probably cathartic for him to speak to the media after. I like a pitcher that is self-aware. I don't need him to beat himself up too much, but it seemed like he was down. But I know that he was like, okay, I'm down now. This was right now. And then the 4 days of me preparing for the next start, I'll be ready for the next start versus the Angels. So I was very sad for him because I know White Sox fans, and you can see in the comments, this guy's not an ace. Trade him. Give the money to Kopech. He sucks. Hey, man. Lucas Giolito's done a lot for this organization. That's why I won't give him too hard of a ride when he does struggle. And this is a positive thing. White Sox fans, if you take anything positive out of this, is that Lucas Giolito might be on his way back to being the ace. And yes, the ace of this fucking staff. I hate you guys out here talking about my man like that.
Don't discount that he has done this before. He has had problems, and he's fixed them. And also, don't discount the guy who's the pitching coach right now, Ethan Katz. Ethan Katz is who helped Lucas Giolito go from the worst pitcher in baseball to an all-star, and he is now right there, right next to Lucas every day when he needs him.
Well, and I thought this was an interesting word that Jordan Lazowski used in his article about Gio. He said accountable. Is that a good word to describe Lucas? Because that is something that we've seen, or at least I've seen, is that it's always about, I need to fix, this about his mechanics. It does feel like he's pretty forward for at least a baseball player.
Well, I'll put it this way. He's not shy about saying those things. I don't think any pitcher on this staff is.
That's true.
I don't. I think Lucas got up there and was blunt about what his contributions were to this team at the moment when he talked after that start against Toronto, saying, "I'm not doing my job. I've been god awful. I've got to fix this." I don't think you hear too dissimilar things from other pitchers. You might just not hear it as bluntly as Lucas put it the other day, because Lucas was very clearly bothered by the stretch of games that he was on. I think accountable is accurate. I think accountable is not as rare as people might think it is.
That's fair. I mean, definitely Lance Lynn is going to,
Lance Lynn will say the same thing. Dylan Cease will say the same thing.
Michael
Kopech will say the same thing.
After the Wrigley start, too.
A former pitcher on the White Sox will not say the same thing. I'm sure after he pitched for the D-backs the other day, he's like, hey, team needs to play better.
Hey,
I was out there dealing
7 strikeouts in 4 1/3 innings. That will do it for a team right there. It's definitely with Giolito. People talking about game 1 starters and all this stuff for postseason. We'll see at the end of the year who is truly the game 1 starter, because you look back at last year's postseason, no one separated themselves as a starter in that series. I know the Houston Astros are very, very good at baseball. I'll give them that credit, but even Lance Lynn earned it throughout that season. Lucas was probably the game 1 starter before that year, but Lance pitched his ass off.
I'll say 2 things. Number one, it's very much about who's hot in September, right? I mean, and who's hot on maybe even an even smaller window than that. Because here's the thing. If I would have asked you 2 days ago who the game one starter should be, would you have stood up and pounded your chest for Dylan Cease before he struck out 13 guys on Sunday?
Maybe I would have probably said Kopech before then.
I would have said Johnny Cueto.
Right, and yeah, right, Johnny Cueto. You're not. I mean, again, it's
Davis Martin.
It's like you're gonna go with the hottest arm right now. It's very, very possible, and I don't think anybody would be surprised if Lance Lynn is not the 5th best starting pitcher on the team come August, September, or even late July. And then I think the other thing you have to look at too is experience. I mean, it is very clear. These guys have been talking about it for 2 years now, the effect that stage can have. And when I look at that White Sox rotation right now, who do I go ahead and pick from an experience standpoint? At least lately, obviously Johnny Cueto has won a World Series, but I think you got to go with Lucas Giolito for that start that he made in Oakland.
Goddamn right.
And I think I would say Lucas was probably the best starting pitcher in that Houston series last year too. Obviously, that was a very low bar to clear, but there's something to be said about getting up for those big games and being able to pitch in those big moments. He has shown it in the last couple of years in the postseason, at least in that Oakland game, and then compared to his teammates in that Houston series last year.
Well, it's funny too. You mentioned experience, like Dylan Cease, the guy that I would say right now 2 2/3 in his postseason career. That's not a lot of experience. Kopech just became a starter, so he definitely doesn't have any postseason experience.
But
as
he
a
might
starter.
be on absolute fire at the end of September and make it no question, right? I mean, Kopech doesn't have the experience, so I mean, you got to weigh a lot of different things.
That's the guy too. I mean, Cease as well. I mean, Cease has this white whale potential, but I mean, really, Michael Kopech, if that's fastball's playing, he might be the best pitcher on the staff, experience or no experience.
They call it a good problem to have, right?
Yes.
If you have many guys to choose from. Right now, the White Sox could use some more wins to get in a playoff position before they start talking about who's going to start game one of a playoff.
And that's the thing that you hold out hope for, because they have these guys who can dominate a playoff series if they get into it. That's why I hold out hope that these guys start hitting for these ultimate great pitchers, because if you get into a playoff series versus any of these teams, I'll give the White Sox a fair chance to win that series because of the starting pitching.
But they got to score more than 3 runs a game.
Please score some runs, guys.
And they got to play better defense, and they got to be better at base running. There's a lot to clean up with this White Sox team.
Base running today was tough.
Yeah, our guy Dave Barista saying, how about a guy that can go 7 innings? That would be a game changer. And if you want to start your game with a competitive edge, Strava CBD coffee is a game changer.
Bit of a walk there, Sean. Bit of a walk.
Thousands of people. Hey, I'm doing an ad read. Helped thousands of people to improve their overall wellness and quality of life. Strava delivers delicious, fresh roasted coffee, specialty coffee infused with organic, broad spectrum CBD. CBD from hemp doesn't make you high or hungry, but it does offer real benefits that can help you feel alert and focused without the jitters. It can help you live your day more balanced with less anxiety and fewer aches and pain. Plus, including CBD in your daily routine can even help you enjoy more restful sleep so you wake up feeling your best. The best part, Strava is all about quality. Everything is in small batch, fresh and shipped straight to your door. Strava also offers concentrated full-spectrum CBD tinctures for those looking for a more traditional CBD format with a powerful entourage effects of benefits. CHGO listeners can save 25% off their order when they use code CHGO25. That's 25% off your entire order at Strava, STRAVA, craftcoffee.com. When you use code CHGO25 at checkout, discount coupon valid on non-subscription purchases only, 1 use per customer. And if you already love Strava, you could subscribe and save with the Strava Coffee Club. With Strava, you're in control. You could save on your favorite coffees and have them automatically delivered to your home or office on your preferred schedule. Herb, I don't need Strava tonight because we played one hell of a softball game, and I saw Lawrence already jumping in the chat here, wanting to talk about your catch. So if you want to explain it, take me through the POV, in just a brief moment here. What was the moment when Shane Reardon hit a liner at you in right field at Mozart Park tonight? And what was it like to absolutely make the play of the year in that media?
I don't know if it was all that, but it was a low liner, and I was like, I don't want this ball to go past me, so I'm just going to put my hands out there. I knew once I hit the ground, I'm going to be hurting for a certain amount of time because I got like a pinched nerve in my back and my neck. And so I was like, all right, this is going to be hurting. So I was like, it's 2-0 early in the game. Might as well just lay out. And so I just caught the ball and made sure the ump saw that I caught the ball. It was all right.
Herb, you're underselling it. You had, the contortionist act that you pulled off there was incredible. To scoop your body underneath the ball and then somehow squeak your arm up to show the umpire you had the ball. It was remarkable.
It's like the best thing I can ever do, and I'll never be able to do that again. And I'll never be able to replicate that, and probably tomorrow my left arm will be dead.
I haven't seen right field defense like that in the South Side all season long.
Hey, there you go. I was looking away for a way to make that choke.
That's what I do. I just play deep.
Steven.
Because I know I can't go back on balls.
Hey.
I can come forward on balls and let them drop right in front of me. But that one, I was like, it was an in-between play, so I didn't want it to hit any of my body. And I was like, okay, let's make the catch anyways.
You came in.
And we got murdered. It was like 90-5.
Oh, we don't need to talk about that.
Murdered.
We don't
Absolutely killed.
We don't need to talk about it. Hey, speaking of absolutely killed, Minnesota beat Cleveland 11-1 tonight. Minnesota 42-33 on the year. They've won 3 straight. Cleveland's lost 5 straight. They're now 3 games back. They're 36-33. Your Chicago White Sox are 34-38. They're 6.5 games back.
Plenty of games
in the AL Central.
Plenty of games with the Minnesota Twins. Plenty of games with the Guardians.
Well, that's the thing. We're at the easiest part of the schedule, right? I mentioned that, I think probably a month ago at this point, and now you see the White Sox losing to the Orioles and Angels, and I bet fans are probably like, well, what happened to the easy part of the schedule here?
They're going to have another losing month. This loss today clinched them having another losing month. So it's very sad that they didn't take advantage of teams like the Orioles, and I know they looked good, and they were better than I even thought they would be. But it's the goddamn Orioles.
Well, the pitching is still
They're
underwhelming.
trash.
I mean, like we said, the hitting was the issue against the Orioles, and look at all the starters they roll out. I mean, there's nothing impressive.
The Orioles can be fine. The Orioles can be good. The White Sox had the expectations of being a World Series contender. You should be a lot better than the Orioles.
Yeah, and as somebody pointed, I think Jesus Shuttlesworth pointed out the other day, they're playing without John Means, their ace, the guy who pitched a no-hitter, I believe, last year in Seattle. So they're underwhelming with their starting pitchers. Jordan Lyles is not good, and you saw him yesterday, and the White Sox just scored many more runs, and it's a theme. They've getting hanging changeups, fastballs, curveballs, sliders, and they're not doing the job that a Major League Baseball hitter should do against those pitchers, and they're just missing everything. You talked about Andrew Vaughn today. A slider elevated, wasn't good, didn't have a lot of movement. It's what they call a cement mixer. Andrew Vaughn swung and missed through it. Usually Andrew would murder that pitch, and later on in the game, he crushed the pitch from 109 miles off the bat. But that is the theme for this White Sox team as of late, where they're just not crushing pitches that they should be.
Yeah, and too, I mean, we talked about the lack of power on this team. MJ ended up saying, now we are the easy part of people's schedule. I don't know if I really buy into that, because still, I mean, you have Johnny Cueto on the bump. It's still TBD for the Angels, but then on Wednesday, you're going to end up having Michael Kopech versus Shohei Ohtani. I mean, that's going to be a great matchup, but that's the best pitcher that they're throwing out in Game 3. You've had the better pitcher in Game 1 and Game 2. Like, the White Sox should be taking more advantage of these opportunities, and they're just simply not.
But don't you think, you said earlier that the White Sox have only had a certain amount of home runs in 70-plus games? The other team's got to know that. And so they pinpoint their pitches. Like, if I put this pitch right here, they will not hit it out of the ballpark. If I do this versus the Yankees, it might get tattooed. So I know that the White Sox, for the most part, even if I make a mistake out here, they're not going to be out here murdering the balls over the fence as they would be in 2020 and 2021. This year's team, they're not ready for my pitchers, even though if I elevate them up and I have a changeup that is dead red, they'll just pop that ball up.
The White Sox have proven that they can hit one thing, and it's left-handed pitching. I mean, that has been a consistent thing since 2020. They killed Martin Perez. They killed Tyler Anderson. They have been consistently just nailing left-handed pitching. But right-handed pitching, if you can locate, you're going to do well. I mean, we saw them knock around Justin Verlander, but for the most part, I mean, below-average pitching can beat them, and that's, I guess, my concern right now, especially when you're going to end up seeing Minnesota. Minnesota's got a plus 42 run differential, and they've got 297 runs allowed. we've talked about their pitching not being great, but it was good enough to win that series against the White Sox early on in April, and it's been good enough to get them at 42 wins. I think that at this point when I'm examining the Minnesota Twins, I might think that they're better than the White Sox right now, and obviously the record would say that, but at this point, I'm really kind of turning the tide on the White Sox. Once they get to the part where they play 19 games against the AL Central, we'll truly see where the White Sox are. I think that's still true, but the more and more we see losses, the more and more that confidence wanes.
I don't think you need to see anything more to know where the White Sox truly are. It's where can the White Sox get to? I mean, they have dug themselves a hole here. And are they going to spend the next 3 months digging themselves out of it, or are they just going to sit in it? Because so far, they've just sat in it. They have not been able to, anytime anything goes good, they have not been able to turn it into enough momentum to take off to get themselves out of the hole that they dug themselves into the first, what is now 3 months of the season.
Right.
You're absolutely right. There's no reason to believe that they should be any different against the Minnesota Twins. They need to show us. They need to show everybody that they can be different. Because otherwise, you just described two teams that have basically an inverse run differential.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the White Sox run differential is what, negative 52 as of right now?
And plus 42 for the Twins. So, I mean, not exactly, but almost 100 runs separate those two teams.
They have not played well, and there has not been a moment yet where we have gone, there it is. That's it. They're turning it around. Finally, everything is clicking, bing, bang, boom. Maybe they get Yohan Moncada back on Tuesday. Maybe they get Eloy Jimenez back, at the start of the next homestand. Let's say that hasn't been the that's not news. I'm just speculating.
He could, yeah.
Right? And maybe that is the spark that lights everything for them. But so far, everything that's happened to this point, and we are 3 months into this season. There was a comment, what are they going to do over the last 90 games? The answer is, whether it ends up being true or not, they'll probably go 45-45 because that's what they've showed us so far, is that is the team they are.
Oof,
they need to prove otherwise, or else this is where they're going to sit for the rest of the year.
Well, need to roll if that happens. God. But and when you're saying that, I hear it, and I'm like, God, will they? But yeah. If they go 45-45, that might be a victory there because they're under 500 right now. But I look at this team as, do either one of you guys think this team can put 10 wins in a row together?
I mean,
no.
Well, wait, the answer is, can they?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they'd have to play a lot differently than they've played to this point.
Yeah, right. Can this team? No, because of what you mentioned earlier, about 20 minutes earlier, there's no sync. Like there has
not been to this point,
sync
right.
to win 10 games straight. And maybe they could have a thing where it's like, oh, you get great pitching one day, great hitting. Like you haven't even seen that, where it's like great pitching where it's a shutout, it's domination. Like I think it was Dave mentioned, like 7 innings from a starting pitcher has been really difficult to come by for the White Sox this year. That wasn't an issue last year at all. I mean, they led the league, I think, in 7+ inning outings.
They had the best rotation in the American League,
and I mean that's been just
and they have
not
the
true
pitchers.
this year.
They have the pitchers this year to have the best rotation in the American League. Herb, you just talked about it earlier. You gotta get some run support for these guys.
They're missing one guy, but Carlos Rodon.
Stop it.
But my point
Come on,
being
he's
is
gonna
that
be
point
playing
being is that they have 5 guys that could produce the best rotation in the American
Damn
League.
straight.
I agree with that.
And
Damn straight.
they can't turn that. I mean, they have a lineup that, when healthy, could produce the best lineup in the American League, excluding the Yankees, who are out of this world right now. But my point being, they have the talent to do that. They haven't done it.
Well, and
they're not doing it.
You mentioned experience too with the pitching. I mean, even looking at the hitting, I mean, like that's part of the reason why the Yankees are this juggernaut right now. Because I know people wanted to fire Aaron Boone because it's the Yankees, it's New York, it's all about winning. 27 titles, they'll never let you. I think it's 28 at this point.
Oh, 27, you got it right.
27 titles. Most in any American franchise sport, whatever. They've gone to the playoffs 5 straight years. And yes, they haven't won, but you have seen the growth of those players each and every year. And, when you keep getting to that doorstep, you try to figure out, how's the best way to unlock that door. It really feels like the Yankees have grown and progressed, where feels like the White Sox have kind of regressed.
We'll talk about the Dodgers.
Right.
Dodgers have won World Series. They've been the best team or the best organization in baseball, along with the Rays for the last decade.
Yep.
They've got one World Series. Like, it's hard to do.
Yeah. And part of it is getting back and staying in it. And right now, it's just the White Sox aren't in it right now, and that's the concerning part. Is can you make it 3 straight years going to the playoffs? I'm not really sure. You mentioned 90 games left. It's kind of shocking to think about this. If the White Sox go 60-30, they would still not hit the mark that I predicted them to get. I predicted them to get 95 wins. If they win 60 of their next 90 games, they will only get to 94 wins on the season. Is that kind of shocking to you after this team just won 93 last year?
No, they put themselves in this hole. I mean, to hear it, yeah, it's kind of shocking, but they put themselves in this hole. These games in the early season count against you. And so, yes, you have to play catch-up now for the rest of the season. And 60 games out of the last 90 is a tall task. Can they do it? Yes. Do I think they'll do it? Hell no. But the only saving grace I have, I do not think that Minnesota team is good. I think the White Sox will start playing better. Not ass-kickingly great, not the team that we expected, but they'll play better down the stretch in these last 90 games. I mean, that Angels team is nothing. I feel like the White Sox can win too. And even though Shohei Ohtani's pitching on Wednesday, I think the White Sox can win the next 2 games. And the San Francisco Giants series is going to be real tough. I only want them to come back. I mean, the minimum 3 wins. You win half of your games on the road, I'm fine with that. And now start playing better at home, because that's the problem. The White Sox haven't hit at home, and they haven't won at home. That's not usual for a team, any team, to not win at home.
Here's my concern just hearing that. If they go 3-3 on this road trip, they'll still be 4 games under 500, right?
I'm fine with that.
Is my math correct? I think.
They're 34 and 38.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So that means, well, I didn't know because there's a loss today, but I'm just bad at math. I'm not the math guy on this show. If they go 500, I mean, even if they win 4, if they win 4 more games in that 19-game stretch right there, 4 more games than they lose, they're at 500 at the All-Star break. I mean, this is just shocking for so many White Sox fans. I don't think that they're able to process this. It's shocking for me. And I see Dave Barista saying, they still have the best pitching rotation. They still have the best talent in that team, and all they need to make is a trade. And I just, we're still coming back to this. Like, I don't know what this team needs, and I don't even know what this team can afford. We have seen our first trade this year. First baseman Carlos Santana is headed to the Mariners, and right-handed reliever Wyatt Mills and right-hander Will Fleming will be going back to Kansas City. So the Royals in the division are being active. I always like Carlos Santana because he gets on base. He has been underperforming.
Great guitar player, too.
Yes, fantastic. He's very smooth.
Hell of a guitar player.
Yeah, I just don't know if that addition's coming for the Sox, and that's why it's tough to look at this roster and the way that they've been playing for the first 72 games and be like, oh, yeah, no, I still feel like the Twins.
Well, but also, what one guy is going to solve all this? You know what I mean? Like, go ahead, trade for the biggest name of the trade deadline. You still got to get the other 5 or 6 guys in the lineup who are struggling to get on their horse.
Even if they get Josh Bell, that's
Right.
not going to save the White Sox.
Right.
And
I mean, it's a good left-handed switch-handed power bat, but yeah, that won't solve their issues until the other guys start doing what they usually do.
they're just not good, huh? I mean, that's what Paul Correct said.
I
He
mean,
said, I'm tired of hearing excuses. They're not good. I mean, I don't know what we're excusing
Bill
them anymore,
Parcells
but-
says you are what your record says you are. And yes, the White Sox are not good right now. But do you believe that they're going to be this forever? The rest of the year? I don't. If you do, Paul, that's on you. But I don't think this team is going to be. That's why we're mad. We're not mad because this team is just mediocre and we expected them to be. That's what Cody does. Cody on CHGO on CHGO Cubs, he's like, I'm mad. The team is going to be bad, and the team, I expect them to be bad. But I expect
to win
this
like
team to be
89
great
games this year.
Like, we have that time machine, and I'll only use the time machine to go back before the season. Not any other bad stuff, not to kill Hitler, not all that stuff.
That's bad stuff?
Yeah.
No, he's saying not to correct any bad stuff.
Yeah. I would just go back and just say, hey, Paul Correct, do you think this White Sox team is going to be good this year? And you would say, yeah, they're going to win the AL Central. And I'll say, okay, let's go to Back to the Future when you say they're average.
And-
they're better than this. We all know that.
And this, I don't know if this is.
And I love you, Paul.
I'm trying to make the connection. Like last year, we saw the moves made at the trade deadline for Cesar Hernandez, for Craig Kimbrell. They didn't work out, but in the moment, like you were saying, White Sox fans loved the move. They upgraded the bullpen. They got Craig Kimbrell, who had a .24 ERA, and they went out and got Cesar Hernandez, who was legitimately at that point a good second baseman.
Had 18 homers for Cleveland,
and it just didn't work out.
And he's like, "What's baseball?" When he got he hit that homer for the Cubs, like, "I'm done, guys. Thanks, I'm done." But yeah, those are great moves by Rick Hahn, and people who get on Rick Hahn about those specific moves are wrong. It's process over results. Craig Kimbrell was the best reliever in baseball at that time, and then he came to the Chicago White Sox and forgot how to pitch.
So right now, for the 34 and 38 White Sox, what's wrong with the process? I guess that's what I'm trying to.
Well, the offseason wasn't great, but also the players are not performing.
right?
Like,
There was nothing wrong with the process of signing Yasmani Grandal.
No.
There's nothing wrong with the process of thinking Yohan Moncada was going to be better than this.
Yeah.
There was nothing wrong with the process of having a lineup that looked like it was stacked, of having the 4/5 of the best rotation in the American League last year and bringing it back. There's nothing wrong with the process, though you might disagree, of loading your bullpen up with high leverage bullpen guys. And yet, here they are at under 500.
Yeah, I disagree with the process just on the bullpen. Because also, too, I mean, like, we predicted the bullpen usage. I mean, we could predict what Tony's going to roll out, at this point. And I just feel like the White Sox, part of it is just developmental. I think that's where the process is wrong, because we're asking what's wrong with Luis Robert. We're asking what's wrong with the bullpen. I feel like if they're able to create a little bit more arms. I mean, they're so proud of their pitch lab. If they were able to create more arms and get more Davis Martin stories and possibly Jimmy Lambert stories and stuff like that, then maybe I would have more confidence in this team and more confidence in that process. But I don't know if they're able to truly have that self-scouting and be like, all right, guys, this is how you get out of it. This is how we change these the bad results that we're getting from this process and turning them into good results. I don't know if the results are going to change right now because, again, I'm questioning the process.
You also don't know if the results are going to change right now because you've seen 3 months of results.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Right. And I mean, you can have either opinion, right? You can have all the confidence in the world that these guys are going to start being themselves, or you can be pessimistic and say, there's no way they're digging themselves out of this hole. Until they do something that isn't what they've done for the last 3 months, you can't expect anything else than what has happened for the last 3 months.
Absolutely. We'll see if something changes tomorrow. Johnny Cueto's been great this season, so we'll see if he continues to be great against the Angels tomorrow. Not sure who the pitchers for the Angels will be, but we'll let you know at 8 p.m. because we will have a live pregame. No pregame today on Monday, but we will have a pregame tomorrow, 8 p.m. Vinny will be there, Herb will be there, I will be there. We got one more final thing, an update on the All-Star votes. I do want to give congratulations to Chicago White Sox fans because they did get out and vote after I berated them for not voting for Andrew Vaughn. He wasn't in the top 10 in the first update. He is in the top 10 now. Vaughn's in the top 10 for DH. He is 10th, so still progress needs to be made for Andrew Vaughn. Let's at least get him up to the top 5. And then to go around the diamond as well, Grandal is 10th in American League voting for catchers. Abreu is 7th for American League first baseman. There is no one in the top 10 for second base All-Star voting for the White Sox. No one in the top 10 for third base for White Sox All-Star voting. No one in the top 20 for outfield voting as well. But Tim Anderson is the star of the White Sox, and everyone knows that. Tim Anderson is in the best position, is in pole position to get a All-Star nod. He is currently second behind Xander Bogaerts in All-Star voting at shortstop. If we're kind of predicting, I mean, we are almost in July. Anderson will likely be an All-Star.
Correct.
Dylan Cease.
Correct.
Anyone else you want to stand on the table for?
I'm going to stand on the table for Michael Kopech. I know the record's not great. It's got a sub-3 ERA. Ask the Yankees. Ask the Yankees if he's an all-star. And they would say, hell yes, that's an all-star. And Jose Abreu, for the most part, is not going to make the all-star team, but because the results are not there, but he's on the 99% hard hit. He's been doing well as a first baseman, but there's so many good, hard-hitting, home run-hitting first basemen, so he will not be making it. And Liam Hendricks, while didn't pitch well in the first beginning of the season, has pitched well, but he's hurt right now, so he probably won't make it. Those are probably the three guys I'm going to go with, and Vaughn does not have a shot.
I would hope he has a shot, but I don't think he does. Anyone else we missed?
We'll see. No, there's no one else you missed, I don't think. I mean, Hendricks has been fantastic when he's been healthy, but obviously hasn't been healthy
and there's
of late.
No timetable for him, at least of right now, of when he might return.
Right. I mean, I think he's shooting for early in July, which is obviously coming right up. But we'll see. I mean, he's been working out there, so he's doing his work to try to get back. I think TA is a no doubter, and I think TA is going to play. Unlike last year when he was saved.
Well, and two, last year 4 All-Stars for the White Sox, and now maybe 2, maybe 3, and it just kind of shows you where they are, and that's kind of what we've been talking about for the past hour here. 34 and 38, it's disappointing, but it's also been what we've been seeing for the past 3 months from this team. We will see you tomorrow, 8 p.m. pregame live show. Vinny will be here, Herb will be here, I will be here, and we'll have a live post-game show after the final out is made in that one. Hopefully the White Sox can get their 35th win. You can follow Vinnie Duber on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. You can follow Herb Lawrence on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. You can follow the show on Twitter at CHGO_White Sox. And shout out to Stephen Nicholas for his great producing tonight. That's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. We'll talk to you tomorrow. I guess today is already tomorrow. We'll talk to you later tonight, and then we'll talk to you on Wednesday. But that's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. Thank you to Fleetwood Mac for their 1979 album Tusk, and go White Sox.